Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Differential FPL YouTube channel. I'm your host today, Shokbe, and today we are going to be Today is the second episode of the Watch. Before we dive right in, please smash that like button and subscribe. We're happy to have you here. I know you guys have a lot to do with your day, so I'm glad that you're here with us, um, listening to you know, this video. All right, so let's get it popping. Oh, actually, before we do, just like to say to our United fans out there, ha ha. Anyways, let's jump right into it. All right, fair enough. So, again, this is The Watch brought to you by the Differential FPL. Again, I still got that binoculars going on. One of these days, I'm going to get like a telescope, make it more fun, play around with it a little bit. But anyways, that's enough of that. Let's get right to it. The defenders on my watch list. So what I have done right now is the defenders that I had previously last week. I put them right there at the bottom. Truffert, Calafiori, Dogu. Calafiori came in with some nice points. I think Truffert got some points as well because Bournemouth won their game as well, 1-0, I believe. So he got some points, but Calafiori came in with a goal and assist. Sorry, I said a goal and assist and a clean sheet. So that was good against Leeds. So for this week, I've added three more guys onto my watch list. And what I'll be doing is, as I go along this season, I will try to add more and more people to the watch list, but some people will eventually come out. So, for example, Dogo at United, depending on how he does against Burnley this week, he will most likely come out. But a lot of people are wild carding into Dogu this week, so don't be surprised if him doing well affects your ranking. But anyways, the let's talk a little bit about the guys that I've added. Chaloba, 8 points last week, did very well for Chelsea. Did well for Chelsea against that West Ham defense that was really poor, especially against set pieces that Chelsea put up. I think Chelsea scored like two or three set pieces there. So Chaloba, one that I have actually brought in for Wan-Bissaka. So he's on my, I put him on the watch list, obviously, but he's one that I brought in. I think I said it in a couple of videos before that I like the way Chelsea's defense is looking, but I went out of it when Colwill got injured. But looking at the way they played in the last 2 weeks, I don't mind jumping back in, especially for a 5.0 defender. So that's why I've gone there. Milenkovic, 5.5, Nottingham Forest against West Ham next weekend. West Ham again lost to Wolves during the midweek Carabao Cup. So, and again, they're really bad at set pieces. I didn't watch that match, so I don't know how that match went, but I do know they're still bad at set pieces. And then, I thought about going for him as well. I already have their keeper cells. I thought about going for him, but there's the murmurings, with the board and their manager just put me away from him for now. But I think um, he's a really big one to get this week, and I'm afraid of him. I'm going to be watching behind the couch that Nottingham Forest game because I don't really have a lot of guys there. So I expect Nottingham Forest to really disturb him, especially set piece wise. So if you're looking for a 1 point, a guy for this 1 week, definitely is one that you can definitely get. So Milenkovic, there you have it, 5.5. And then finally, this is someone that he's coming off 2 game weeks where he has returned in both game weeks. Munoz, an assist last week and a clean sheet the week before. Still very good, a 5.5 player for Crystal Palace. Next opposition is Aston Villa, but after that, I think their run gets a little bit easier. I think there's a Sunderland in their future somewhere. So he's one that is on my watch list and definitely one that I might look to bring in if possible. I sold Saka already, so I made like 3 transfers already. So I didn't want to push the wildcard button. I felt I could just take a -4 or -8, whichever one, but it's looking more like a -4 at this point in time. And I actually brought in Chalobah, but then again, I have the money to go to Muniz if I want to. So those are the defenders that got added to my watch list for this week. Next, midfielders. Grealish looked really, really good against Brighton. against Brighton. Next week he faces Wolves away. Wolves haven't looked that good, but at the same time, it's not going to be an easy game for Everton. But if Grealish continues to be this important to Everton, then you have to just go back to, I guess, that run he had with Villa a few years ago before Man City bought him, and he was really special back then. So if he can get back to that kind of form, he's one that at 6.5 could really make sense. So that's one over there. Number two that I've added over here as well is Gakpo, Liverpool, 7.6. His next opponent is Arsenal, which is a bit hard. The Arsenal do have a good defense, but he has returned in his last two matches. He's looking good on that left. And one thing I've actually noted as well is that it looks like Liverpool are kind of ignoring their rights a little bit. I don't know why, but it looks like Salah is not getting as many touches as he used to get. It's not as important as it used to be. A lot of their gameplay, a lot of their goals, a lot of their touches, a lot of their creative play looks to be coming from the right side of the left side of of, of their attack. Maybe that's because they have so many left-sided players right now that are doing it for them. Gakpo, Verts, what's his name as well? Hugo as well. He likes to come in through the left side as well. So that's why I think Gakpo will continue to do well. But obviously, watch that space with what happens with Isaac. We'll get to that in a sec. I think Habi has had Gakpo for like the last few weeks, and Gakpo has done really well for him. So definitely Gakpo there. And then finally, this one is a bit funny. You guys are going to be like, well, you just laughed at United. Why do you still have Cunha on there? Well, I have Cunha on there because when you watch the Premier League games, I'm not even going to talk about this Grimsby game because I think I saw only the first half of that one. That one was just fun to laugh at, to be honest. But when it comes to Premier League games, Cunha has had quite a few shots. He's looked good. Against Fulham, to be honest, against Fulham, he should have scored at least 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. If he scores 1, 2 goals, it's a different look. If he scores, it's a different look and everybody's rushing him. Even without him scoring, people are still rushing him. Right now, his price is at 8.1. He has Burnley at home next. He's not as if he's on pens or set piece or anything like that, but he's getting chances. Looking at the FPL side, when it comes to midfielders, I think he has taken the third most shots with 7 shots. I think 4 or 5 in the box. Only one big chance though, but I think he's a really good pick for this week. I took out Saka. I actually brought in Kudus, who was on my watch list last week, and it's right there as well. I brought in Kudus instead of Cunha. I think I went for Kudus more so because of his price and also because of the fact that he looks really important for Spurs right now. But Cunha, really good pick. If you can go there, especially if you're in wild card, he's one that definitely, without a doubt, you should go for. Let me see. And I'm just going to move to my last page here, which is the forwards. Forwards, I've added Pedro. Pedro this week, 15 points, balling out, against a poor West Ham side, to be honest. But if you had him, he's good to have. 7.5. I brought him in this week for Bowen, who was again about to drop in price, and I wasn't going to have that. He already dropped in price to 7.9. Now he was dropping again to 7.8, and I wasn't going to have that, so I just moved for Pedro. I'm not sure if by the time you're watching this video, Pedro would have moved up in price, but he faces Fulham this game week. Fulham at home is not the greatest game for Chelsea, but depending on Cole Palmer's injury, you might have a situation where Pedro becomes their pen taker, right? For the next few weeks until Palmer is back. Even though we heard that Palmer's injury isn't that serious anyway, but people are still going off Palmer. I still have Palmer. I'm hoping he's fit for this week, but even if he's not fit, I have someone on the bench that I could play. So that's where I am with Pedro. Obviously brought him in as well, so he was my third change, allowing me to make it -4. Again, I could still make it -8. It's not looking likely, but depending on where I'm feeling, the way I'm feeling on Friday, Saturday morning, I could decide to go for a -8 and go for one more guy and target a fixture like the one that United has. So also when it comes to forwards, I've also added Gyökeres, bad guys. 9.0. 2 goals this weekend, one in penalty, and obviously one from open play for those guys that love that open play stats. Um, thing about Gyökeres is he's the kind of striker that he will he will push his man down the stairs for a goal. I mean, the penalty that he took, I saw some people saying, maybe Max Dorman should have taken that. I was like, nah, that shit was never happening. As soon as Rice picked up that ball and was holding that ball, I could see Gyökeres in the background there, just when a lion is like walking around, stalking his play, like, whoa, if I catch you, don't worry. So the way he was looking at that ball, the way he looked at that pen, there was absolutely no way Max was going to have that. It was always going to be Gyökeres, and that's the kind of striker that you want. And then I think since the last time we spoke, or since the last time we had the watch, Havertz was still fit at that point in time. But since then, we have learned that Havertz is going to be out for a couple of months, which means that Gyökeres is the number one striker for Arsenal now. He's going to get those good minutes. So you got 90 minutes against Leeds. So he's going to continue to get minutes. There's also rumors that he's the pen taker, and with Saka out next game week against Liverpool, Gyökeres is definitely the pen taker. So Liverpool is a hard game. Like, Liverpool itself is a hard game to play, but that Liverpool defense is not looking that good right now. So it could be a game where that could finish 2-2, 3-2, or it could be a KG match and finish 0-0. Whichever way it is, or anybody could sneak a win in that game. You don't know, because it's two big heavyweights facing each other. But with the way Liverpool defense has looked so far this season, maybe Gyökeres can get himself a goal or two. So he's one that I'm looking at. I am inclined to make the move from Watkins to Gyökeres, but not this week. I think this week I'm just going to let Watkins play it out. I think he's one that is going to definitely start, so I'm not going to bother myself this week. But Watkins is definitely on the tightrope. And then finally, this last one, I know everybody's like, wow, Isaac? But Isaac is not even getting games. Why are you bothering yourself? But yeah, I have Isaac in my sights because I have that money on Watkins. I could either go sideways to a player like Gyökeres, or depending on what happens in the Isaac situation, which we shall probably hear what is really going on by the end of this week or next week when the transfer window closes. One or two things is going to happen. Either it goes to Liverpool and either it goes to Liverpool, or Newcastle decides to give him like a new bumper contract and he comes back into the team. I don't believe all this, hey, I'm going to be on strike all season, I'm not going to play. That's just doo-doo. That's never going to happen. Once the transfer window closes, something is going to get done between him and the club, whichever club he's going to. So we just have to wait a little bit for that. But his price has dropped right now. Now he's 10.4. So I'm just waiting patiently. I don't want to blow my word and go for a Gyökeres, another 9.0 striker like Gyökeres, or a cheaper striker with my Watkins money. I want to see if there's a possibility that Isaac stays at Newcastle. One of the reasons why I'd rather he stays at Newcastle is because if he stays at Newcastle, then it's a different team from Salah. It also gives me a penalty taker at Newcastle. Whereas if he goes to somewhere like Liverpool, he will not be a penalty taker because Salah got those duties. And even though he won't be a part-time player, it's not as if he'll be rotated or anything like that. It's not going to be as sweet as if he was on pens. And then speaking of Isaac, what happens to Hugo, who has done really, really well for Liverpool in the last 2 game weeks? Does that mean that Hugo starts getting benched? He has already risen in price twice already. So a lot of people have jumped on that ship already. And then also as well, a few other names from last week. Wood for Nottingham Forest and Richarlison for Spurs. I think Richarlison got another assist. Wood is facing West Ham this week. West Ham are all over the place. Bowen was even fighting with one of their fans recently. So I see that a lot of people have Wood. Basically, I'm scared of that Nottingham Forest game. I think I'm gonna get try, like, if I don't find a way to put another Nottingham Forest player in my team, most likely I'm gonna collect it this weekend. And that red arrow is coming. I think I'm in like the millions at the moment. So but it is what it is. It's just the start, so I'm not that bothered. Like, I'm really tempted to play a wild card, but at the same time, I feel like playing a wild card this early just leaves me, I can't change things later in the future, especially if I get it so wrong. And this is just 2 games in. A lot can happen in the next 2-3 game weeks. Stuff can change. Pedro that I just brought in that looks nice, in the next 2 or 3 games, you can find out that it's actually not that nice. I just don't know. That's why I feel like I still need a little bit more data. So that's where I am in my watch list. As the season progresses, I'm going to add a few more things to it, maybe a few more stats here and there as we get more games. But we've only seen about 2 games, so right now it's pretty much just the eye test. Maybe when we get to like 4 game weeks, I can start putting in some stats that will help people out a little bit better. So let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you've played your wild card. Let me know which players you're considering. And thank you so much for listening. If you stayed this long, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe. Should I have said something about a bell the last time, so that when our videos or when our stream is going on, you can be on our stream. So definitely come hang out with us on our stream. It looks like we'll be going on mostly Sundays now. So when Sunday evenings. So once you've had your whole day, you're chilling, you're just hanging out. Come hang out with us as well. Let's discuss some FPL. So with that being said, thank you so much and have a good one. I will catch you on the next one. Goodbye. Oh, and then obviously, of course, that's for United. Screw you guys. Good night.